it's JJ Virgin, and welcome to the JJ Virgin Lifestyle Show, where I talk nutrition, exercise, mindset, and lifestyle with some of the coolest people in the world. And I give you tips that you can put into fast action to up-level your health so you can go out there and live the big life you're meant to live. Now, today's show, we really get real. It cuts right to my heart because we're going to talk about health strategies during times of extreme stress. And I had my own time of extreme stress a couple years ago when my son was the victim of a hit and run when he was out walking and literally left for dead in the street. And I spent 4.5 months in the ICU while I was launching the Virgin Diet because I'm the primary financial support for my family. So I had to do both. So we're going to talk about that during the show with my guest who also just went through in a period of extreme stress. And we have some amazing lessons to share about what you can do. And the key here is you never know when this is going to happen. So you want to be prepared. And also, if you can get through extreme stress and create that resilience, it makes everything else so much easier. So let me tell you a little bit about today's guest. It's Isabel De Los Rios. She is fantastic. I met her at an event a couple months ago and instantly became fast friends. She is a certified nutritionist and exercise specialist. She's helped over 700,000 people all over the world lose incredible amounts of weight, regain their health, and permanently change their lives through the Beyond Diet program. She is just fantastic. And she really focuses on fat loss, diabetes control, and optimal health. And how this all happened was when she was a teenager. And, you know, it's always, I find people, the best people out there in the world of health are those that went through it themselves and had their own story. She was an overweight daughter and granddaughter of type 2 diabetics. And she was told that this was going to be her fate too because of genetics. And she was like, no, I don't think so. So she started looking for answers. This literally, again, remember, she was a teenager, reading every nutrition and diet book she could find, and then sought out doctors and health professionals and just started learning more and more and more, and then went in and got her degree at Rutgers in exercise physiology. She's a certified strength and conditioning specialist by the National Strength and Conditioning Association, a holistic nutrition lifestyle coach by the Corrective Holistic Exercise Kinesiology Institute. And she has just done some amazing work. Her own personal extreme health is what helped her get through what she just went through. And we so bonded during this interview because we both came to the same realization while we were in the ICU. So I'm excited to share that with you. I'm not going to reveal it yet. Just stay tuned and you'll hear it and you'll realize this is all amazing information and great life lessons that you can use yourself to help boost your resilience so you can really take on anything. So today's guest is Isabel De Los Rios. All right, so let's do it. Isabel, welcome to the show. I am so excited to talk with you today.
JJ, I'm so excited to be here.
This is such an important topic. As you know, I've gone through my own high stress times, and I think whether people are in high stress or not, if you can learn how to deal with high stress, then you can deal with all stress. But let's talk about, because maybe people don't even realize when they're in a high stress time, what qualifies as high stress? How does someone know when they're in that type of situation?
Yeah, so high stress times, as we're going to talk about them today, is really when your world gets turned upside down. So it's not just, oh, my alarm didn't go off and now I'm late and now I'm feeling stressed today. It's not just, oh, maybe your kid has a cold and, he can't go to school and you can't go to work. So those are stressful. But what I'm talking about here is when life is like, what in the world just happened? So that could be the death of a loved one, which, definitely is extremely upsetting, divorce, a major illness, job loss, which may lead to some heavy financial stress and anxiety, and even good things like moving. Moving can be great, like, oh, look, we bought a house and now we're moving, but that can be derailing. And then having a baby is phenomenal. It's wonderful. I have 2 kids. But it's a really, really tough time. So those are our high stress times.
All right. Yeah, I would definitely agree that having kids and then everything after that fact becomes
Yeah,
stressful, doesn't it? So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I remember being pregnant and walking down the street in Santa Monica, and these two thuggy looking dudes are walking my way. And I'm like, everything in me is like, gearing up, right? And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be worried and protective for the rest of my life. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So someone's under high stress, and I've certainly experienced my share of high stress, so I can totally recognize it. And I remember some of the things immediately when I was you know, in the emergency room the night that my son got hit and the next night. And I remember just some of the feelings that were going on in my body. But for someone who hasn't confronted this yet, or maybe is not so dialed in, what are some of the things that happens to your body when you get into a high stress situation?
Well, really, it's a situation where it becomes all consuming. So usually people they can't sleep, right? You're laying in bed and you're just thinking, especially if it's, let's say in your situation, JJ, you were taking care of someone. So all you're thinking about is, what do I have to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to stay here in this hospital. I don't want to leave. So sleep is really, really compromised. Usually during this time, people are not hungry. And we've all seen people who, let's say, have lost a loved one and they just don't want to eat. So now, instead of the opposite happening, which a lot of times during chronic stress, people will eat to make themselves feel better. Here in these situations, a lot of times people just don't want to eat. And if they are eating, it's usually not something that's good for them. People are usually extremely anxious. Like you just can't do anything else. You're just so full of nerves. And, so that's usually the feeling. And I know a lot of people who are listening to this have probably experienced one of these that we're talking about. It would be my hope for everyone that you never have to experience
Oh my
something
gosh,
like this.
yes, yes.
I mean, I really almost wish we didn't have to have this conversation. But like you said, if you know how to deal with these situations, you'll be able to deal with really any situation.
Yes, and that is key. And I love that you differentiated between this acute high stress and chronic stress, because they are so different. They're so different. I still remember standing in the hospital feeling like it's like the feeling of wanting to crawl out of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I've had so much caffeine, that type of feeling, like I've had 10 times the caffeine I should ever consume type of feeling. It's just awful. Ugh.
No, and I was going to say, I just really hope that for people listening, they're not in one of those situations, but that if and when one of these things does happen, they have a toolkit and they know what they can do, because it really is such a challenging time. Like you said, JJ, you're almost like, is this for real?
Yeah.
Like, can this just be over?
Yeah, it literally,
I just don't want to be here.
All those went through my head. Is this for real? Can this be over? And fortunately I had some tools in the toolkit, and I would love to hear what you can recommend as practical strategies that people can do when this happens. And then the other thing I would tell people is have these things around ready to go, because you don't know when this is going to happen. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Who knows? So I'll just share a little bit of my personal experience. The first time I experienced this level of stress was when my second son was born and my oldest was 2 years old. So I had a newborn and a 2-year-old, and that was like, oh my goodness, like for real. I mean, it's just, you have no time to take care of yourself. Your hormones are just crazy. I went back to work after 6 weeks, and that was really the worst. It was when I was working, I had a newborn and I had a 2-year-old. So that was challenging, and I felt like I really learned these strategies then. And of course I got through it. My kids are older now and it's much easier. But now recently, as you know, my mom became very, very ill, and I was in the hospital with her for 3 weeks straight. And then she passed away, and we traveled for her funeral. So really what I'm going to talk about here is what I did during that time, because that was that kind of situation where you're like, wow, is this for real? What am I going to do? So the first thing I want to tell people is that you should not and do not feel guilty for taking care of yourself during this time. And specifically, I want to talk to people who are so used to being caretakers, like parents. Or in my situation, the child, and here I am taking care of my mother. And in a lot of times people will feel bad, like, oh, I'm so not important right now. Like I have to take care of, in your case, JJ, my son, or I so have to take care of my mother. But what I would keep telling my sister and my dad was, we can't also go down. Like, mommy really needs us right now. We have to take care of ourselves. So I really just want to eliminate that guilt for new moms and for caretakers or anyone in that situation, because the whole entire situation becomes so much worse if you then start to not feel well.
Exactly. Don't you find that there's what I realized during that time, because you can't be in the ICU if you're sick, is that there was no margin. Like,
yes.
No margin for error. I practiced extreme self-care with my sleep, with my eating, with my exercise. People were bringing me in wild salmon and kale and stuff, but that I went to extreme self-care because I knew it was the only way I could pull it off.
Yeah, and that is beautiful to hear because I was in the same situation. I was in the ICU, and if I wasn't well, I wasn't allowed in, and that actually did happen to my sister. My sister just kind of like started getting too stressed, started using her comfort food, which was sugar, and then immediately got a cold. Well, she was not allowed in the ICU for a couple of days. So really, it just makes the whole situation worse. So yes, I did practice extreme care, and so did you, JJ. So now the question is, how did we do that? So what I recommend and what I did personally during that time is you may want to just eat the same thing every single day, not because you're going to do that for the rest of your life, but just because you need to make this simple. You're not going to go home and you're not going to batch cook and you're not going to make all these meals. Like, let's just be for real here. You got to get to the hospital. You got to go home. And we're using our examples, but for people, they can relate it to their situation. But like having a baby is very similar, right? Like, what are you going to do? Be in the kitchen for 5 hours batch cooking? Like, no, you're definitely not. So what I recommend is pick 2 breakfasts, 2 snacks, 2 lunches, 2 dinners, even if you repeat them over and over and over again, and somehow, some way get those things. Like for me, I can run into any supermarket and get smoked salmon and avocado and figure out like where the fresh vegetables are, some fruit, and I will just make do and just do that. So even if every single day for breakfast I have smoked salmon, avocado, and some veggies, great. Like I am ready to go. The other thing would be like a whole baked chicken. If you have a Whole Foods near you, get 2 whole baked chickens and you will just pick off of that thing to get you through this time. Or like what happened with you, JD, a lot of people were willing to help. Take the help. Like, yes, if you could bake me a chicken, if you could bring me some salmon, if you could just get me some grass-fed burgers from the place, down the road or wherever it is. And people are so happy to do it.
They loved it. It was really hard for me. It was one of the biggest lessons I learned was, take the help. I actually, I think most of us do not like asking for help, but when your son's life's on the line, you take the help. And I did the exact same thing you talked about. I actually had a Nutribullet in the hospital so I could whip up shakes. Yeah, I just like I was living on that stuff. But people said, what can I bring? And I'm like, well, you could bring some salmon, some chicken, right? Yeah. Just made it easy.
And I forgot to mention the shakes. I mean, that's great. Look, you're not going to drink shakes all day, every day for the rest of your life, but just for this time to keep it as clean as possible, that is a great idea.
It was easy. I was living out of a hotel, so that's the way it was going to work,
Yeah. And actually, you bring up such a great point, JJ, because my sister was living out of a hotel. I was driving the hour back and forth to the hospital, but my sister wanted to be really, I know, and that in itself, right, has its challenges. And, I have 2 little kids at home, but my sister, she was living out of a hotel. Now, here was the challenge. She did have access to her healthy food, but now you have more exposure to the bad stuff. So she would get to the hotel at night and there would be like happy hour going on, right? So there is like the alcohol and the treats and, those things are more readily available. Like at the hospital, I hate to say it, but there was like a cupcake bar downstairs.
Isn't it amazing, the crap at the hospital? I was like, and they said they had a big sign about their healthy food and farm to table. You will laugh about this, Isabel. So farm to table, and under it were apples.
Yeah.
Right? That was it. That was like the big thing. They had apples.
Yeah. And kind of farm to table, I guess. But just like, it's crazy because now my sister's, addictive foods were more available to her, whereas like at home, she wouldn't have cupcakes around. So that's the other suggestion I want to make for people, or make to people rather, is you need to have your do nots clear right up front. And I'm really saying this with all the compassion in my heart. I mean, I understand that these situations are so hard. I mean, I'm only like a couple of weeks, from the entire experience. But I had to say to myself and my dad, Starbucks coffee is off limits for me. I want you to stop me if you even see me going in that direction, because for me, this is my addiction. I mean, JJ, if you let me have one cup of coffee, I'll have 20. It's ridiculous.
I'm sitting here like nodding, because the one thing that I decided during that time was that because I had to be there like 4.5 months, 5:30 a.m. till whenever, and I was launching a New York Times bestseller at the same time. So, but, I just was like, I have a hall pass for coffee. That was it. I was like, I'm not going to go, eat sugar and all that stuff. But I didn't go off the rails, because I also knew that I had to sleep at night. I was crazy about sleep. That's the big thing I will tell people, is get yourself to sleep, whatever you have to do, because that's probably the single most important thing that you can do, wouldn't you say? And the whole scheme of things is, gosh, if you start getting sleep deprived, everything goes sideways.
You just can't do it. Then you just can't even think rationally. And that's really what it is for me with the caffeine. I don't know what this nasty addiction is I have for it, but then I can't sleep, and then everything then everything gets derailed.
Yeah, you got to know those triggers.
Yeah, and that's for my sister. She saw how she got the cold. She wasn't allowed in the ICU, and then she was like, done with the sugar. Done. Like, I just cannot have any more sugar. But to your point about sleep, JJ, that is so important. I think about when both of my kids and my husband had the flu, and I was the only one that was not sick. I would get them all in one room, both kids in one bed, my husband there, because I knew I had to be available for them, and we would just sleep. Like, so I still felt like I was taking care of them, but I was like, mommy's got to sleep. Mommy's got to sleep. Because I think that was the only thing that really, really kept me well. So, I mean, if I could say anything to the listeners, really, don't feel guilty for taking care of yourself. You've got to do it. Make your list of like your emergency foods. Write it down into a list, and then you can share it with people. And when they say, hey, can I get you something? All you have to do is show them a list. Be like, yes, I need these things, and I need them now. And then just establish your do nots right up front. Like, just don't even go down that road, especially if it's something that's really derailed you in the past.
This is so great, because this just isn't, we all talk chronic stress, and having gone through this, there wasn't a roadmap for, oh my gosh, this just happened. Now what? And I just, fortunately, with so many friends in the health field, they just started showing up with everything, and I didn't have to think. But, again, plan for this, have that emergency plan, because, you kind of know in life these situations are going to come up, and are you ready? And that's why I think it is so key to be in the best health. I mean, part of what's obviously helped you was you walked in super healthy to start with.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that always helps a lot.
That was really huge, because when I think about how long it was, right? Like 3 weeks in the hospital every day, in the ICU, right? Lots of sick people. And then traveling to New Jersey for the funeral, and then being there, having my 2 kids and my husband get the flu during that time. And I think about that whole time. I came home and I was like, wow, that whole time I really stayed healthy and felt well. But I do think that had a lot to do with all the things I had done prior to that.
Absolutely.
And was to keep myself in good health. Yeah.
So for everybody who now wants to know how they can get healthy like you, and where I know you have beyonddiet.com. What can they get there if they go over to beyonddiet.com?
So at beyonddiet.com, we have a starter video that some people have watched that video, and just with that information alone have lost the first 10, 20, 30, 40 pounds. I mean, if you're hungry for information and you really want to start, you can start right there. lots of articles. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Beyond Diet. Tons of new recipes every single day. Great articles, and then pictures of my kids because you have to. I
Yay!
just have to. Yeah.
You better.
Yeah. If
I
you want
know.
to see my kids, you'll see them there.
Fantastic. And you have great recipes. So definitely you want to go there and get them. So Isabel, thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to remind you listening, go to beyonddiet.com to get more great info and those recipes. Now, after the break, I'm going to be answering a listener's question. So stay with me.
If you want to lose weight even faster, here's the 2-word secret: extra fiber. JJ Virgin's extra fiber fights hunger. It's detoxifying, and it's the secret to a healthy gut. JJ's extra fiber is grain-free, paleo-safe, and doesn't contain any harmful irritants or allergenic proteins, so you can happily and more safely move towards your weight loss goals. Visit jjvirgin.com/products to give your body the well-rounded consumption of fiber it needs to help balance blood sugar, support healthy digestion, and stay fuller longer. Visit jjvirgin.com/products and get your fiber.
Welcome back. This is the time where I answer a listener's question. And today's question is one I hear so often. It's all about food and what should I eat? It's from Rachel. And Rachel asks, JJ, what are your top go-to foods? So I had to answer this question now because it so ties in with what we were talking about in the show. And the deal is I make sure that my fridge, freezer, and pantry are stocked so that I can pretty much handle any situation. But I travel a lot, so I need foods that are easy to take with me and also foods that I can keep in the fridge, freezer, and pantry that aren't going to go bad too quickly. Now, when I'm home, I always go to the store and get some fresh veggies and produce so that I have them. But, and on the road, I make sure that I order salads and veggies, but then I supplement with the rest of these things. So my obvious go-to food, I actually travel with the NutriBullet and I use my all-in-one shakes every single day, whether I'm at home or on the road. So my number one go-to food really are my shakes. And then I carry my bars with me. And I made this stuff because this is what I use. I've done it for 25 years. So I wanted to make sure I had products that had exactly what I wanted in them and nothing else. So I made my own. So I carry my bars with me. I'm particularly hooked on my chocolate mint protein bar right now. I must say that's my current favorite, but I have 6 different types and flavors, fiber and protein bars. So I'm always rotating them around, and I have my shakes. Now, other go-to foods for me in my fridge, I always keep some Kite Hill almond ricotta cheese, and then I've just been mixing it up with all sorts of different hummuses out there, and I always have some different cut up veggies, especially I'm kind of a big fan of celery because it's a great little holder for all sorts of things. And in my pantry, I have rice chips because my fiance likes to do rice chips and hummus. Then we always have some sliced turkey and sliced grass-fed roast beef that you can find sometimes at Whole Foods. So we like to keep that on hand too. And what I like to do is take that and if I'm in town, I also get some fresh guacamole, and I will take like some sliced peppers or some spinach, and I will put some hummus or some Kite Hill almond ricotta cheese or guacamole on a piece of turkey, put that stuff in, roll it up, and I make some roll-ups for lunch. That's one of my quick go-tos. I have a bunch of different nuts in the pantry, and so that I can put baggies of them together and carry those with me if I need to too. And I have some Paleo Valley. I love my buddies over at Paleo Valley. I have their grass-fed beef sticks, so I take those with me as well. And those are my easy go-to foods that I always keep around in my freezer. I always have great frozen berries. And then I also have some amazing wild salmon and halibut from Vital Choice because that's so easy to prepare. You don't even have to defrost it in order to make dinner. And then I also keep some grass-fed beef and grass-fed lamb from my buddies at Wild Things Seafood and Meats. So I have a bunch of stuff that's great and stocked. I also keep in my pantry some lentils, black beans, and garbanzo beans. Sorry, Dave Asprey, I just said garbanzo beans. I know that you don't like them. My bulletproof buddy Dave Asprey and I have a running joke about garbanzo beans. Anyway, those are my real go-to easy things. I also have some uncured nitrate-free bacon in the fridge, but those are the simple things that I tend to do wherever I'm at because they're always simple. Because my favorite way to eat is just some clean protein, lots of vegetables, and then a little bit of a slow, low carb, especially things like butternut squash, big fan of that, or some legumes. And I tend to eat a little bit of beans every single day. There it is. Easy, easy. And I will tell you that when I was in the hospital with Grant, those were the same things that I had. I had a shake. I had my NutriBullet with me. I had bars with me. And then when people asked me, what can I bring? It was like, bring some wild salmon, bring some chicken, bring some veggies. And I had nut butters and nuts. Oh, and we have lots of nut butter in the fridge as well. Made it simple and easy to do. And that's the thing. You want to create a no-fail environment. So this is easy for you to do. And don't bring the enemy into the house or the office or your car. No trigger foods. They just set you up to fail. All right. If you'd like to submit a question, just go to jjvirgin.com/ask and you can leave a voicemail for me. I can't wait to hear from you. And one more way I'd love to hear from you, I would so appreciate it if you could jump on Stitcher or iTunes and leave a review for me. It helps a bunch. And be sure to subscribe and share the show with your friends. This is JJ Virgin signing off and reminding you that you are worthy. Dare to live a life that matters.